bacteria. In second example, we have discussed multicellular organism, in which we have discussed the amoeba, and the third we have discussed the planaria. Okay, and then we have discussed multiple fission. Today we will discuss the second method of asexual reproduction, that is called fragmentation. Okay, as certain worms grow to full size, they spontaneously break it up into 8 or 9 pieces. Okay, so planaria we also discuss in binary fission in previous page. Uh, 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 in binary fission we also have discussed about the planaria. Now we will discuss that when binary fission happens in invertebrates. So at that time, planaria divided into two parts. So what we have discussed in previous page, when there is binary fission happen in invertebrate, for example, planaria, at that time its tail began to long, and then this extended part also get all the features of exact planaria. So it will make its two copies through binary fission. But in planaria there is another asexual reproduction is happen, which is called fragmentation, and you can see this is the figure of planaria. Okay, so when it began to divide, so its body divided into three parts. The upper part will be separated, middle part will be separated, and the lower part will be separated. In this diagram you can see upper part, middle part, and lower part. So when they began to divide, so this middle part will produce its upper and lower part both. Okay, and when this head will be separated, so it will grow its lower part and convert into complete planaria. Okay, this middle part will grow and will be complete into will be convert into complete planaria, and then the lower part so it will grow its upper part and it will be complete into complete well. So in this fragmentation, one organism can be divided and convert into three planaria. So one planaria can be converted into three planaria. Also when these three planarias will be divided, so each planaria will be three. So it will be converted, each planaria will be three, each planaria it will be converted into 9 pieces, 8 or 9 pieces of planaria. Okay, so this is called fragmentation. As certain worms grow to full size, they spontaneously break up into 8 or 9 pieces. So each piece fragment develops into a mature form. So each piece, okay, so each piece means each fragment, okay, each part, each piece, each fragment develops into a mature form. So converts into a mature form. Okay, and the process is repeated. If a planaria breaks into many pieces instead of two, it will also be called as fragmentation. So there is a difference in asexual reproduction of planaria. If planaria is divided into two pieces, then the asexual reproduction in planaria will be called through binary fission. Okay, but if planaria is divided into fragments, means more than one or three parts, then this is called fragmentation. Okay, so I hope you understand it. Now we will come to next page. Okay, now the next process is budding. Now we will discuss what is a budding. This is another method of asexual reproduction. Okay, this is another method of asexual reproduction. In this type of asexual reproduction, a bud develops as a small outgrowth on parent's body. So what is that? A bud is growth. A bud is growth from parent's body. Okay. So you can see this is a parent cheese. Okay. And a bud is formed. In this diagram, you can see a bud is formed. So what is written here? A bud develops as a small outgrowth on parent's body. In case of yeast, a unicellular fungus, a small bud is formed on one side of a cell. The nucleus of cell divides and one of the daughter nuclei is passed into the bud. So what is happened? In parent body, the nucleus began to divide. So when nucleus is divided, So another bud is formed. So this nucleus, the nucleus is divided. So the one part of nucleus move towards the bud. So the extended part is completely converted into another part of yeast. Okay. So we will see the nucleus of cell divides and one of the daughter nuclei is passed into the bud. So parent cell may form more than one bud at a time. So each bud enlarges and develops the characteristics of parent organism. The bud may separate from parent body. In some cases, the buds never separate and as a result, colonies of individuals are formed. So this is very important. What is that? Each bud enlarges and develops the characteristics of parent organism. The bud may separate from parent body. Okay, the bud may separate from parent body, but in some cases, the buds never separate, and as a result, colonies of individuals are formed. In this example, we can see that bud, this is a parent gene, the bud is extended from one type. Okay, the nucleus is divided and this should be separated. But in some cases, this bud never separate from parent body. And more buds are extended from the body, parent body. So they will make the individuals. What did they make? They make individuals in the colonies of individuals. Okay. So identify the stages of budding in slides or charts of yeast and draw diagrams. So you can also see the budding in yeast through slides in science lab. Okay. After that, we will discuss some animals. Okay. So animals such as sponges. So animals such as swans, hydra and corals also produce by means of budding. In them, a small bud is formed on the side of a body by mitosis. This bud enlarges by the formation of more cells. It then detaches from the parent body and grows into new organisms. So animals such as sponges, hydra and corals. So this diagram is given of hydra. Hydra is a plant you can see in the diagram. Okay, and you can also see a bud is going to be grow. So when it grows, then is further divided into more parts, and then this bud, the extended part of the hydra plant, it will separate from the body of a parent plant. Okay, and then after that, then this new part of plant will fall on the ground and began to grow into a new thing. So this is called a budding in yeast. So this is called a budding in hydra. Okay? So they can grow themselves like growing their buds at one side. Now see here in corals, the buds do not detach from the parent body. In corals, the buds do not detach. Where are the corals? Corals are present under the sea. So the buds do not detach from the parent body. Corals from big colonies because the buds grow into new organism by remaining attached to the parent body. Okay. So this is the budding. This is another method, and in this method we have discussed three different things. First, we have discussed the example of yeast in which parent body of yeast, it has a nucleus. First, an extended part grow from the parent body, and in the center there is nucleus. So this nucleus divided into two parts, and then one nucleus will be moved towards the extended part of the parent body, and then this extended part will complete convert into another part of yeast. But sometimes if they never separated from the parent body and more extended parts are grown from the parent body, so in this situation they make the colonies of an individual. Second example for budding, we have discussed about the hydra plant. Okay, and we all of know in hydra what is happened. You can see that there is a plant and there is extended growth of a bud. So you can see the extended growth of a producing a proper body of a parent plant. Okay, and after that it is separated from the parent body of a plant, and then a new bud again goes into the soil and then convert into a new plant. So this is also called a sexual reproduction in plant through budding. And then we have discussed another example of corals. Okay, in corals we have discussed the birds do not detach from the parent body, means they do not separate from the parent body. Actually, they make big colonies because the birds grow into new organisms by remaining attached to the parent body. So it is happened also inside the body of a plant. Then another type of asexual reproduction is spore formation. We have discussed bilocation, we have discussed fragmentation, we have discussed budding. Now we will discuss the spore formation. How is it happen? It is generally seen in most fungi, for example, rhizospores. Where it is happen, it is generally seen in most fungi. Okay, so when rhizopus reaches reproductive age, its body cells form thick walled spore sacs called sporangia. So when rhizopus reaches reproductive age, when they are ready for reproduction, so at that time, what did happen? They make hard, thick-walled spore sacs called sporangia. We will see in the next page in a diagram. You can also see here. Okay. This diagram is given of spore formation in rhizopus, which shows sporangium left and sporangium burst right. So this is a spore formation inside the rhizopus. So when they are ripened, these are the mature, so they are burst and they come out from the body of a plant. So we will see the explanation given in the book. Inside each sporangium, this is a sporangium, okay, and many tiny spores are present inside the sporangium. A cell divides many times and forms many daughter cells. So we can see there are many spores inside it. So the cell divides many times and produce many daughter cells. So each spore is covered with a thick wall called cyst. Each spore covered with a thick wall which is called a cyst, okay, and it can survive unfavorable conditions. And if there is not favorable conditions, in that condition it can also survive. It can also produce protection to the spores. So when sporangia are mature, so in this diagram you can see when sporangia are mature, when they are make colonies attached to each other, and around them there is a hard cyst is produced. So when sporangia are mature, they burst and release spore. So this hard cyst will be broken and the spores will be produced. So under favorable condition, the spores germinate and develop into new rhizopus. So under favorable condition, this is happen in under favorable condition, because we are talking about the living organism and there are many living organisms all around us. Some can protect themselves and some cannot. So the living organism faces two conditions. One is called favorable condition and the other is called unfavorable condition. The type of asexual reproduction which we have discussed now in spore formation, this is a favorable. In normal condition, always spores in rhizopus, spores are produced. Okay, spores are produced inside the sporangia, and every spore has a hard cyst around it. So when they began to mature, you will see in the diagram when they are began to mature, when they are matured, at that time the cyst is broken and the spores are released from the sporangia. So these are many spores, so they fall on the body of another plant and then they fuses with ovaries. So because of that, a new plant began. So this spore formation also helping pollination. And we all of know pollination, that every plant, and we also discuss in this chapter in the next topic, pollination also helping asexual and sexual both reproduction, because when these spores are releases from the body of a plant, definitely they will go in the air. Some will go in the air, some will stay on the body of a plant, some will fall on the soil, some are eaten by animals, and when they release their wasted materials from their body, so they will move from one place to another. Some spores should have the structure like a parachute. They are very light in weight, so due to strong wind, they can float in the air and move from one place to another. So there are different conditions. So there are different conditions are produced because of that spores can move from one place to another, and this process is called pollination. And but in this paragraph which we have discussed now and which I am sharing with you, in this paragraph just we have discussed that how spores are formed, how they are formed, how they are broken, and how they are convert into mature state. Okay, so this is happens, spore formation is happen if there is favorable condition. As I told you, but sometimes living organism have seen unfavorable conditions. Okay, unfavorable conditions are there in which they cannot produce more spores, they cannot produce hard cells. So at that time, what did they do? So we will see the screen. Under unfavorable conditions, some species of bacteria. Now we will discuss the example of bacteria. One example of bacteria you have discussed in this topic in binary fission, that bacteria can be reproduced by binary fission, and that condition is a favorable condition. And what is happened at that time? We also discuss in class 9 in very detail that there are two types of organisms, prokaryotes and eukaryotes. Prokaryotes are those which have not true nucleus inside them. So we also know about this thing that bacteria have not a nucleus in their body. They have a special chemical structure which is called DNA. So when bacteria want to produce by favorable condition, then it will be produced by binary fission, or at that time it will make copies of its DNA. And when it will make copies of DNA, so its body will be divided from the middle, and each complete DNA will move to each part of the body. And because of that, bacteria can be produced. But if there is unfavorable condition, okay, so now we will discuss about the bacteria. If you keep in your mind, we have discussed three different till now three different living organisms which can reproduce by asexual reproduction in two ways. First, we have discussed about bacteria. In favorable condition, it can produce by binary fission, and if there is unfavorable condition, which we discussed now, that it can be produced by spore formation. Secondly, we have discussed about the planaria. If there is favorable condition, it can be produced by binary fission, and its body will be divided into two parts. But if it has unfavorable condition, means if it is going inside to fragmentation, so its body will be divided into three parts, and each part will convert into mature, develop into mature form. So second example of we have discussed plain area, and third now we are discussing about we have discussed about the amoeba, that if there is favorable condition, the nucleus of the amoeba will be divided into two, and each part will be called a complete amoeba. And if there is unfavorable conditions, so in that condition, amoeba produce a hard cyst around it, and many tiny amobas will be produced inside that hard cyst, and then this will be burst. So many amoeba will be reproduced. So that is called a multifission. So keep in your mind, this is a confusing. Always students are confused at this point. We have discussed three examples. First, we have discussed about bacteria, okay, and second time we are discussing second we have discussed about planaria, and third we have discussed about the amoeba. Now we are discussing about the amoeba, bacteria. If there is under unfavorable conditions, some species of bacteria reproduce by forming spores. For example, Colisetum and Bacilli species, the bacterial spores are also thick walled, so they are formed inside bacterial cells who are called endospores. Now we will discuss with the help of diagram. Okay, you can see this is a bacterium. Okay, so this bacterium, it will produce endospore inside it. We also see that inside there is a DNA structure. So around them there is a hard cyst will be produced, and many tiny bacteria produced inside the endospore. So this endospore, when it will be broken, okay, you can also see in the diagram. this is a parent cell, and what will be a parent cell is breaks, and this is out from the body of a parent, and because of that this is a germination of endospore. So this will be germinate, and then it will be convert into a complete bacterium again. So this is a process in which through spore formation a new bacterium can be produced. I hope you understand it. This is a, and this is a simple bacterium. Okay, in the center we can see they have a DNA structure. If it is doing a binary fission, then DNA structure may make its copies double, and then it is divided into one part will be go this side and other part will be go this side, and because of that two new bacteria will be formed. Okay, and when we talk about the endospore, okay, in this situation what will be happen in the center where is the DNA, it will be produce a hard cyst which is called endospore. So this endospore will be come out from the body of a parent cell, it will be break, and then this breaking part will be convert, this is called a germination of endospore, and because of that a new bacterium will be formed. Okay, so this is a spore formation in a bacterium. I hope you understand this method. Okay, now we will go to this next page. Uh, okay, now the next is that parthenogenesis, which we will discuss. Still, we are discussing about the methods, asexual reproduction methods. Okay, now the next one is parthenogenesis. Parthenogenesis is also considered as a form of asexual reproduction. Parthenogenesis is also considered as a form of asexual reproduction. In it, an unfertilized egg developing into new offspring. Still now, we have discussed that if there is a fertilized egg, only this is responsible to convert, to develop into a new offspring. But now this is an amazed and different condition that if there is an unfertilized egg, it can also develop into new offspring. So how is it happen? Examples are given. Some fishes, frogs, and insects reproduce by means of parthenogenesis. If you think about it, we can understand that Allah create everything properly. Reproduction is very important, but the living organisms which are not strong, they have more than different types of reproduction in that. If we take an example of fish, we all of know that fish have a sexual reproduction. It can it can reproduce by a sexual reproduction. Frog can also reproduce by sexual reproduction, and there are some insects, but at the same time if they are not facing proper conditions, they are unfair, so they can reproduce by this and by a sexual reproduction. Okay, so during reproduction, if fish, frog, and some insect produce unfertilized eggs, so they can reproduce by parthenogenesis. Similarly, we can take an example of honeycomb. Queen honeybee lays eggs in the cells of honeycomb. Yes, this is reality. We know that queen honeybee always lay eggs. Okay, so many eggs remain unfertilized and develop into haploid males. Yes, there are some eggs which remains unfertilized, also they are converted into haploid males. Drones, the workers, okay, the workers of honeybee are called drones, and they all are male, and they are produced by unfertilized eggs, so by parthenogenesis. At the same time, some eggs are fertilized by male bees, and these develop into diploid females, new queen and worker bees. Okay, and the fertilized eggs produce female queen bee and their workers, and unfertilized eggs are converted into male, means drones, like workers who make honey for make honey in the honeycomb. And we all of know that the honey is produced by only queen, bee queen, and it is made by drones. Okay, and this whole process is happened with the help of parthenogenesis. So parthenogenesis is a process in which new offspring can be reproduced by unfertilized egg. The important thing of parthenogenesis, a new thing is produced by unfertilized egg. Okay. Now we will discuss the vegetative propagation. Okay. So till now we have discussed different asexual methods of reproduction, in which first we have discussed about the binary fission, in which we have discussed about three different examples. We have discussed bacteria, amoeba, and planaria. In second part, and multiple fission. In second method, we have discussed about the fragmentation, in which the the fragments of the insects divided into different parts, and they produce more other parts like themselves. In third example, we have discussed about the budding. In budding, we have discussed the example of hydra plant and yeast, okay, and corals. And after that, we have discussed about the spore formation, and in which we have discussed that many spores are produced in sporangia, and when they are mature, then they are burst and are taken out from the body. And because of that, the spores float in the air. Some goes from different places in different ways, and because of that, reproduction is happen. In the last method which we have discussed, that is parthenogenesis. Parthenogenesis is a process in which unfertilized egg can be reproduced, can be produce offsprings. Okay, so in this method we have discussed the example of honeycomb, in which queen bee produce lay eggs and produce honey, and in and lay eggs, and in second and the fertilized eggs by male bees, they produce nuclein and worker bees. Now we will discuss the vegetative propagation. So when vegetative parts of plants, what are the vegetative parts? The vegetative parts of plants are roots, stems, or leaves, give rise to new plants. Okay, the process is called vegetative reproduction or vegetative propagation. So what is the vegetative propagation? So what is a vegetative propagation or reproductive process? So this is a process in which what is happened, uh, root, stems and leaves. They are the part of the plant which have to grow in complete plant of the plant by vegetative reproduction or vegetative propagation. It occurs naturally and can also be brought about artificially. So vegetative propagation can be divided into two kinds. One is called natural vegetative propagation, which occurs naturally, and second is called artificial vegetative propagation, which is brought by artificially ways. So first we will discuss the natural vegetative propagation. Vegetative propagation occurs naturally in several ways. First important part is bulbs. Bulbs are short underground stems surrounded by thick fleshy leaves that contain stored food. Underline into your book, this is a definition of bulb. This is very important. Bulbs are short underground stems surrounded by thick fleshy leaves that contain stored food. Adventitious roots emerge under the base of bulb, while shoots emerge from the top of the base. So examples are tulips, onions, and lilies reproduced by bulbs. What are examples of natural vegetative propagation? Is tulips, onions, and lilies reproduced by bulbs. Next is corms. Corms are short and swollen underground stems. What are corms? Corms are short and swollen underground stems. Underline into your book. This is very important. Corms are short and swollen underground stems. What are bulbs? Bulbs are short underground stems. Okay, they are short and swollen underground stems containing stored food. So birds are present at the top of corm. From a bud, shoot grows and forms a new plant. So dashing and garlic reproduce by corm. These are examples of cons, you have to underline. These are very important, these exams, because they often ask in your MCQs in board exams. Okay. Also underline these examples. The examples of birds are tulips, onions, and lilies. So the examples of corms are daisy and garlic. Now there are rhizomes. Rhizomes are horizontal underground stems with scale leaves. There are enlarged portions called nodes on rhizome. Buds are produced at nodes. Rhizomes are horizontal underground stems. Horizontal underground stems with scale leaves. So they are enlarged portions called nodes or rhizome. Buds are produced at nodes. The buds present on the upper surface of rhizomes give rise to shoot. The lower surface of rhizome produces other plants. Okay, now we will see the figures which is given in your book. Okay, so this is a rhizome of ginger. This is an example of rhizome, in which way it's a part of ginger. Okay, it has scale leaves. Okay, and it has adventitious extended roots. And you can see this part is called a bud, and this is called a node. Okay, so this is a rhizome of ginger. Here you can see form of Colgacia. So this is a adventitious root. These are doctor cords. This is a comb. It has a scale leaf, and this is a node. Now we will see the bulb. This is an example of bulb. In this example, you can see onion. Okay, apical bud, which is given inside the onion. This is auxiliary bud. Okay, and this is the base, and this is the fleshy scale leaves. Okay, and these are the adventitious roots. Adventitious root, and this is called bulb. And this is a stem tuber of potato. Okay, and we can see this is a potato. These are called the eyes of potato. This is the scar of stem. This is a scar of scale leaf, and this is a germinating eye bud. Okay, and this is a stem tuber of potato. This is an example of stem tuber potato. And you can see some types of natural vegetative propagation. So we will discuss till we have today discuss about the vegetative propagation. This is not completed. Some parts are left. We have discussed three parts of vegetative propagation, which are buds, corms, and rhizomes. So you have to read, now your lecture has been ended, but you have to read this topic after the class and underline all these things which I have told you. And I have told you three important living organism in asexual reproduction, which can reproduce in two ways. First, we have discussed bacteria. It can produce by bilocation and by spore formation. Secondly, we have discussed planaria. It can reproduce um, mm, by bilocation and also fragmentation. And third, we have discussed amoeba. It can reproduce by bilocation and also can reproduce by multiplication. Okay, so these are confusing part of the topic in which always students mix them and never give the answer properly. And today we have started vegetative propagation, and we also know vegetative propagation have two types. One is called natural, and second is called artificial. But now we have started natural vegetative propagation, which we have discussed three types: birds, forms, and rhizomes. And the next part we will discuss in our next lecture. I hope you understand it, and I will not share the short questions of chapter number 40. You will write to yourself in your registers, and you will mark which I tell you during the lecture, and you will mark yourself. Thank you so much. If you have any question, you can raise your hand. But if you want to ask any question, you can raise your hand. Only 2 minutes are left.